Hello, everybody. Byron here. Welcome to another episode of Who the Hell Asked, alongside Slade.
How's it going, everybody?
It's going good, and we have two interesting topics today. We got some Nintendo sales numbers we will be getting into in a moment, but first, we have an update on hashtag Save Titanfall.
That is correct. Let's just say that the last week for the Save Titanfall movement, that's what I'm going to call it, has been a bit of a shit show. So apparently, some hackers have kind of taken over a lot of the Reddit posts and moderators and whatnot,
Yes.
and are getting a hold of people's accounts and DDoSing them and all sorts of shenanigans. A lot of those moderators that have compromised accounts, or the moderators that are hackers, because I guess there's apparently some of those too, are being banned from the Reddit and whatnot. But overall, it just seems like there's a little bit of an internal war going on the Save Titanfall movement, and
Yeah.
I think to this day we still don't have any response addressing the issues from either EA or Respawn, other than the fact that hacking their game isn't the way to go about it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So there is a on the Save Titanfall webpage, which of course we will link. We will be linking down below. Yeah, it details some of the stuff. Not only is doxing, harassment, and hacking illegal, but they're also destructive towards the Titanfall community. And apparently, there is a fucking mega dump of just that. There's evidence.mp4s, evidence.pngs of all this shit going down. I'm not gonna show any of it, but if you're curious, you could download it on the website. But yeah, let's just say the Save Titanfall movement, it had a good purpose, which is to make EA and Respawn aware of, hey, Titanfall 1 and to an extent 2 are kind of broken right now. But it
Oh,
got taken over
oh
by
yeah.
malicious people. And I told Slade before we started today that I didn't think we were gonna get an update on this, and especially as quickly as we have on this.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're still kind of stuck with the situation where Respawn is basically selling at this point menu simulators because people can't actually play those games for full price. And that is pretty scummy overall. That's why this community is kind of fighting back as much as they can. But
Yeah.
I think the gamer on gamer crime that we're seeing persist
Hmm.
with the Reddit community itself, with like hackers, some of the players, and
And
moderators,
yeah, and the hacker.
overall is not conducive to the movement itself. It doesn't help anybody. It's actively making everything worse. And
Absolutely.
those individuals should not be doing what they are doing now.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. There is a way to get your point across. And and sometimes you do have to go to a bit of extreme methods, but don't go to these types of methods. Please. Like, there are ways to get your point across. To be like, in this case, hey, EA, Respawn, your fucking game is broken.
oh, absolutely. And while I said before, the first time around, hacking, Apex Legends and showing, that there's a problem with Timefall to save Timefall thing, I am in favor of, maybe you got to break a few windows every now and then to get somebody's attention, but you definitely don't want to start targeting people individually and going after them and, doxing them and all over the place.
Yeah,
So,
this, like, people latched on to this. Some have latched on to hashtag Save Titanfall and have turned it, I guess, into a way to just fuck with people who, in some instances, had nothing to do with this and just wanted to play like Titanfall or Apex Legends. They just wanted to play a video game. It's like, goddamn.
and in the end, this lies at the hands of, EA and Respawn because they need to really get on this and start addressing the issues with the hackers in those games. Because like I said, people can't even play those games, yet they're still selling the full price. I honestly think that players should be allowed to sue companies in regards to that, like a class action lawsuit or something. So...
And shout outs to a YouTube channel apparently by the name of Upper Echelon Gamers, which apparently made a video, I guess in, like, at the same time as the Save Titanfall website came out, so probably we'll link their video below as well. We're not that informed, but we're just bringing you the update on this situation. And holy shit, it's a nuts... just like the first time around, when... the whole Save Titanfall thing came out, like, what, like a month ago? A couple weeks ago at this point, I think? Like,
yeah, I think it was at least 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was nuts then, and this situation has just gotten even more nuts now. If there's any other, again, like last time, if there's any other updates with this, then we will, of course, let you know about it. But god damn, the shit show turned into...
So let's go ahead and move on to the meat and potatoes of the video. Nintendo recently released their sales information for the last quarter, and ultimately I think that's going to be everything until the end of the year that they're going to announce on their sales.
But yeah, so, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to look into the financial explanatory material first?
Yeah, I actually think that'd probably be a great place to start, because overall, I think we were really just going to kind of discuss trends overall. So, to absolutely nobody's surprise, the fucking sales for this year overall, especially compared to the last quarter and other quarters previously, has declined overall.
Yeah.
We have seen a large decrease in sales for both software and hardware for the company. Yeah.
However, there is one funny thing. Playing cards.
Yes.
On a slide 4, playing cards went from 0.2 billion yen to 0.5 billion yen. Up 72.6%. And that is the funniest thing about this slide to me. I don't know why. It's just so funny. So funny to me.
Yeah, so that definitely helps make up a little bit of the lost revenue. They've gone from, having absolutely super massive software and hardware, sales last year. I think the pandemic obviously had a lot to do with that, with people being stuck home. But I think the largest reason is that Nintendo didn't release a title this year that was as big of a blockbuster or hard hitter as Animal Crossing. So
within the fiscal year, which I believe is like April to like April for Nintendo. Yeah, there was no big Animal Crossing like 20 million seller game.
For sure, and I think part of that's because some of the games that we haven't got any information on, or that have been delayed to 2022 and beyond, were probably planned to release this year before the pandemic kind of struck in full force. I think right now, for new titles, the only title that has dropped this year that has sold pretty significantly well would be the Super Mario 3D World Switch, not remake. It's a port. They ported it over, and they added some new content to it. But even then, I don't think that broke more than 6 or 7 million, units overall. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that number.
Well, we will find out in just a moment.
Absolutely. But
also, another interesting tidbit from this document. Apparently, the Americas made up 43.5% of fiscal year 21 regional sales.
Yeah, so it seems like the bulk of their business seems to be in North America overall.
Yeah, because South America is probably a smaller percentage of the overall 43.5%.
Yeah, but it seems that the majority of their success seems to be mostly Western-based. I know you see quite a portion for Europe as well. It's almost a quarter of their sales entirely,
Yeah, it's more
with
than
the almost other quarter being made up in Japan. Then you have, nearly 45% of the sales being in the Americas, with a rough 10% being everywhere else in the world combined. So,
yeah.
overall, looking at this, it does seem like, even though there's a decline in sales, 'cause I want to iterate, even though like it shows those numbers are like in the negatives or whatever, they're still making absolutely super massive profits. It's not like, oh no, the Switch is dying or whatever. I think this ultimately attributes to Nintendo just having a very slow year in terms of software sales. And it's not only Nintendo Switch related software declining, but software involving mobile devices like mobile phones and all that also saw, admittedly, a pretty small decline overall. They're still making more than 13 billion a year on that.
Yeah.
I imagine, that's a lot of success from Fire Emblem Heroes, probably Dragalia Lost, and Pokemon Masters.
And probably a little bit of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Yeah, but I think overall Nintendo's still in the driver's seat of their immediate future, though it depends on how well this next model that they've released sits, because they made an announcement during E3 that I think all of you are very well aware of, the Nintendo Switch OLED model.
Well, they announced it like weeks after E3, but yeah.
Yeah, after E3. Sorry.
Which we covered in full detail in a previous episode.
So I think that's gonna be what makes or breaks Nintendo's more immediate future overall.
Yep.
If it's gonna be something that like isn't very successful, maybe that prompts them to push for an actual console upgrade, maybe the next generation of console for them.
Yeah.
Or if it's very successful and a lot of people buy it, it extends and expands the Switch's lifespan for some time. Because I think originally the new 3DS, the one where only I think 2 games are compatible with, I think they rebooted the original version of Xenoblade Chronicles on there, and I think one other game was compatible with that. Ultimately, that shit flopped. So that's why we didn't see an extremely large expansion of the 3DS's lifespan compared to, what it could have been. I think ultimately the new 3DS failing as well as the Wii U failing prompted Nintendo to make their hybrid console with the Switch.
Yeah.
So
well, also that and the fact that like they combined their development team.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, I think the success of the Nintendo Switch OLED model is going to be the driving force behind whatever decision Nintendo makes for the near to immediate future. So, look forward to that. So now let's talk about individual game titles and their increase in sales.
Well, but first, we actually got sales numbers for a few more recent games that we're not going to see in the top 10. So, new Pokemon Snap sold 2.07 million units. And Mario Golf Super Rush sold 1.34 million units in the couple of weeks that it has been released for the sales numbers to show. So what do you think of those?
So, honestly, new Pokemon Snap selling about what I'd expected. Honestly, Pokemon spin-offs tend to have somewhat of a drop-off compared to the main series games overall. Yeah. But ultimately, this points to it being a success overall.
Well, yeah, they released a free update.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are very happy with their new Pokemon Snap experience.
And Mario Golf looks like it's going to do decently well.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and point to a game that sold over 1 million units like, oh, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. They're doing horrible. But it is on the lower end for, Mario spin-offs in terms of, like, expectations. So,
yeah. But wait until But wait
Yeah,
until
as I said, Byron made the point that it only been out a couple of weeks before, they, start tallying up all these numbers for their
yeah.
reports.
Hmm.
So who knows by the time the end of the year reports or the early January reports next year, we probably see that closer to 3 million units or maybe even 4. I won't go that far though.
Yeah. So we'll come back to this slide that I'm on right now a little bit later. But let's talk about the top 10 games. It's like the top 10 selling games are looking pretty much the same.
Yeah, so I think this list compiles them lifetime, right? It doesn't just compile
Yeah,
over the
this
last
is
quarter.
fine. There's one though that has creeped up. Ladies and gentlemen, Ring Fit Adventure has sold 11.26 million.
I think part of that is because I think the pandemic is kind of conducive to people wanting to exercise at home.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like this is kind of like a second wind for that game overall.
Yeah.
So that people, stuck at home, they want to add some excitement to their exercise routines and whatnot. This is just a way for them to do that. So this seeing more success makes a lot of sense to me. I think it kicked out one of the Mario games on this
yes.
list, if I'm not mistaken.
It kicked out New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which had 10.44 million sales.
So that's pretty crazy overall, but like I said, it makes a lot of sense that this game's seeing a lot more success now versus when it initially released. And I think it's going to be one of those games that's going to continue to see success as this year progresses. As now that, the world's dealing with the Lambda and Delta versions of the coronavirus, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
More and more countries are probably going to push for their people to stay home pretty soon. So,
the rest of the top 10 looks pretty much the same. Splatoon 2, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, Super Mario Party, Mario Odyssey, Sword and Shield, Breath of the Wild, Smash Bros, Animal Crossing, and of course, the absolute Chad juggernaut, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
yeah, so Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, despite my initial predictions, I think a little over a year ago, seems to still be sitting pretty at the top of the list. I kind of figured that Animal Crossing was going to eventually overtake it, but it appears here that Animal Crossing's momentum has finally slowed down quite significantly, while Mario Kart 8's kind of maintaining its momentum overall.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in these past 3 months has sold about 1 million units.
Which is still impressive for a game that's a port of a Wii U title. That is, I think at this point, 4 years going on 5 years old pretty soon.
Yeah, which is bananas.
Absolutely bananas. You still see a lot of the mainstays up there: Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and Splatoon 2. So,
top 10 seem to be the same. But let's talk about the Switch itself.
So for the Switch itself, last quarter, I believe, and let me get this pulled up here, only sold 84.59 million units. And I think it was averaging somewhere between 7 million units per quarter to, I think, 12 million units per quarter at one point.
Yeah.
Well, that momentum, like we said at the beginning of the video, has significantly declined. It is now at 89.04 million units. So it sold about 4.5 million units, give or take.
Yeah.
But
however, this is a big benchmark though, because I believe the Switch has now surpassed both the Xbox 360 and the PS.
yes, that is correct. So I think at this point, for pure consoles, I think it sits behind the Wii and the PS2, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
In terms of pure consoles, I'm not counting handheld devices. Because it's also behind the DS and
it's
probably the original Game Boy or something.
Yeah. Yep. There's
Okay.
no way the Switch catches up with any of those four. It won't catch up with the Wii. It won't catch up with PS2, DS, Game Boy. Nah. But
As I said, I definitely think that the near future for the Switch is going to be heavily predicated on whether or not the OLED model is successful or not, which I guess we can make predictions on, that right now. Personally, I don't think the Nintendo Switch OLED is going to be massively successful for them. I think it'll get maybe, it's 10 to 15 million units sold at best. And this is at absolute best. But I think overall, there's not enough there that really upgrades the experience over the base Nintendo Switch model. And because of that, people aren't going to be as interested in it.
Yeah. I do not think it will sell more than probably the Switch Lite. I'd be shocked if Switch OLED outsold the Switch Lite.
Yeah, I think I would be pretty shocked too. I think the Switch Lite kind of, because it comes as a pure handheld and whatnot, it kind of comes as a cheaper alternative to the regular Switch. I think with the pandemic still raging on and whatnot, people aren't going to be looking for a more expensive model of Switch that barely upgrades anything. And don't get me wrong, the 7-inch screen, it's OLED as well. Larger battery life, can contain more data, and it has a built-in Ethernet port, which I guess
on the dock, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess is pretty important as well. But outside of that, you're not seeing any hardware improvements. You're not seeing, graphics jump up. You're not seeing processing power increase significantly. You're not seeing any of that. And because of that, ultimately, there's just no real reason for, hardcore Switch fans who already have a Switch to upgrade to this item. So,
yeah, you want to know what's funny, Slade? Speaking of the Switch, the Switch, the regular Switch, sold, actually had an increase in sales from fiscal year 2021 quarter one to quarter one fiscal year 2022, as opposed to the Switch Lite, which actually had a drop, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because of the points you raised earlier.
So
yeah, they've got the three models coming out. I would be gobsmacked if the Switch OLED outsold the Switch Lite, but you never know. The world is a crazy thing these days.
Yeah, I think at that point they would have to start packaging games with the OLED, like Breath of the Wild 2 or Bayonetta 3 or something, to really drive the OLED model sales up.
I'm a little surprised they didn't make a Dread model of the OLED.
Honestly, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. That's a game that looks like a lot of people would want to play that handheld.
Yeah.
So that is pretty shocking that they didn't do that.
And the fact they're coming out on the same day. That just made all the sense. I guess I see why they didn't, but yeah.
Okay, so in other news about the sales declining overall, there was a very steep drop-off in digital sales overall. So this is DLC for games and whatnot, for as well as I think downloadable only titles.
Yes, there was.
There was a near 25 billion yen drop-off, which is roughly near 25% of their total digital sales overall. Obviously, that sits at the top of the success charts is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as well as the Nintendo Switch Online subscription itself. I can't tell what that is in the middle. Is that the new game developer game?
Oh, that is a good job. It was an independent game, and it was a game by an indie dev that Nintendo published.
Oh, wow. I'm going to look into that, but they're highlighting it as a pretty big success, so...
Yeah, so it must have done well this go around. But yeah, and then of course the top-selling Switch cards you can get digital for at stores. Miitopia, which is a little shocking, actually. Surprised to see that up there. Mario Golf, Super Rush, and Animal Crossing, both of those very much make sense to see.
Absolutely. And as I said, there's no need to despair over the near future for Nintendo because they still have a base of 90 million Switch owners to sell their products to. So it's not the end of the world that their sales are going to slow down. Especially because this has also been an extremely slow year, as there are some titles that are going to be released in the near future in October, particularly WarioWare Get It Together, Metroid Dread, and Mario Party Superstars.
Superstars, yeah. Yeah, those are good. While they may not do, like, chart-topping performances, I think they're still going to do decently well.
Well, if Super Mario Party is any indicator, and people's palpable excitement for Mario Party finally returning to like form of the original titles, I could see Mario Party Superstars being an absolutely ginormous blockbuster hit.
I will say
this holiday season.
I will say there is a history is on my side to make this point. With the exception of going from Mario Party 6 to 7, every Mario Party on a substantial console, like from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 8 to 9, have sold worse.
No, I'm with you. I definitely don't see Mario Party Superstars selling 15 million units or something like that.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about being a success, I'm talking like 7 to 8 million sales to possibly 10.
Yeah, I think it could do something like that and still be a relatively good success. Absolutely.
And they also still have the long-awaited, begged-for Gen 4 remakes in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Everybody's been begging for those, I think, since forever. I think they're begging for them even before the Gen 3 remakes, if we're being entirely honest. So that's also something that's coming out this November that people are very excited for. And they're also starting off with the brand new Pokemon title, Pokemon Legends Arceus, at the beginning of next year.
Yep.
And we also know that Breath of the Wild 2 is a planned release next year. So basically, the near to immediate future of the Nintendo Switch is very bright.
Absolutely. It may not have some big hits right away, but it's got some stuff to look forward to. Yeah, Mario Party Superstars. I know, Slade, you're looking forward to Advance Wars 1 and 2.
Oh, absolutely, but I think I'm in the minority there.
You are in the minority. Like, I'd be surprised to see, like...
If that even hits 1 million units of sales, that's like a game changer. That might, I think that's what it would take for the series to return overall, is seeing that get like 1 million sales or something.
Yeah, so you know what? I'm going to have a belly laugh whenever we cover the Nintendo sales, probably 10 months from now, and we happen to see, in the million sale chart, we see Advance Wars 1 and 2. That's gonna get quite a belly laugh.
I love to see it, but I'm not terribly optimistic. As I said, it's one of those series that, understandably, Nintendo has pulled the plug on for quite some time due to a lack of financial success. And I think this reboot gives the series a lot of potential that is there because there's an absence of Fire Emblem titles on the platform. Yeah. But ultimately, overall, that pretty loyal install base for Fire Emblem is I think 2.5 million fans right now.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to get at least 50% of those people in order to call the game a massive success. And I'm just not quite sure whether or not they're capable of pulling that off. So my fingers are crossed because I hope they do, because I'd really love to see a return to Advance Wars. I think a reboot has every potential of bringing back the series very much like Awakening brought up the Fire Emblem series. So...
interesting times are coming for Nintendo.
Absolutely, for sure. So, definitely looking forward to the month of October, as I'm sure many of you are watching this video.
Yep.
But until then, this is what we got for Nintendo for now.
Yep, and that's all we have for this episode. So, do all the fun little YouTube stuff, subscribe, and all that. Like the video and all that jazz, and this has been Byron.
And this has been Slade.
And we will see you all next time. Hope you all have a good day, good night, and goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.